Africa, 4.7 million years ago. This was the dawn of humanity, a world of primordial beauty, where each new day was both a promise and a test. Upon this ancient land, the first chapters of our survival story were written. These are Australopithecus, one of our earliest ancestors. Their lives revolved around small family units. Sleep was never entirely peaceful. The instinct for survival demanded constant vigilance, where danger could come from anywhere. The birth of a new generation was their hope, but also their greatest vulnerability. They were not the rulers here. This world belonged to giants. A herd of buffalo could easily trample anything in its path. And in the tall grass, predators like the hyena were always waiting for an opportunity. For our ancestors, survival meant observing, avoiding, and understanding. Water is the source of life, but it is also a convergence point for danger. Every waterhole and river attracted all species, from prey to predator. Approaching it required courage, calculation, and cooperation. While some drank, others stood guard. Trust was the foundation of their survival. They had to read the language of nature. A sudden flight of birds could warn of an approaching predator. A small puddle was a treasure. And in the distance, smoke could signal a wildfire, a disaster, but also potentially an opportunity to find cooked animals in its wake. Life was a perpetual migration. They were nomads, following the sources of water and food. Every step was a life or death decision based on knowledge passed down through generations. Knowledge of the land, of the plants, and of the creatures with whom they shared this world. Their greatest enemy was sometimes not the beasts, but their own distant relatives. Different groups competed for scarce resources. Life was a brutal competition, and threats could come from the ground as well as the sky. The vulnerable had to learn to hide. Vigilance was instinct. Every rustle, every shadow could mean death, for danger lurked not only in the grass but also in the sky. On the open savanna, the heavens themselves became a theater of predators. Still, they moved on. Through scorched earth and green plains, step after step, each stride was defiance, a quiet triumph over nature's indifference. This was more than a journey. It was existence itself. And then, they discovered a force that would change everything: fire. At first, it was a terrifying natural phenomenon, but slowly, curiosity overcame fear. Learning to control this flame would be humanity's greatest turning point, providing warmth, light, protection from predators, and the ability to cook food. Along with fire, technology was born. Dexterous hands and a developing brain allowed them to shape the first tools. A sharp piece of stone could do what claws and teeth could not. It was a weapon, a utensil. But technology also brought destruction. The stronger, better equipped group would prevail. The struggle for survival was not just against nature. It was a war between human species. The history of evolution is not a straight line, but a tree with many branches, and not all of them would survive. In this brutal competition, only those who could best adapt, innovate, and fight would continue their story. Their legacy is us. Territory and resources were critically scarce. Clashes between tribes were inevitable. In this world without rules, force was the only language understood by all. The right to live, the right to eat, and the right to be safe were all earned through violence. Every source of food was a prize worth fighting for. The battle was not only against wild beasts, but also against their own kind. It was an endless cycle of violence, a war for survival where victory was only temporary. Even in victory, there was no rest. Threats were ever present. The darkness brought predators, and the cold could kill the weak. Life hung by a fragile thread. But a great breakthrough was about to change everything. It wasn't just a spark. It was the light of ingenuity, a victory of persistence over adversity. For the first time in history, a creature on Earth did not just use fire, but created it. Fire was controlled. The mastery of fire shifted the balance of power forever. It provided warmth, dispelled the darkness, and drove away dangerous predators. More importantly, it changed the way they ate. Cooking food not only made it easier to digest, but also released more energy and nutrients, fueling the growth of the brain. The fire became the heart of the community. It was a place not just for eating, but for sharing, communicating, and bonding. Violence gave way to cooperation. From the ashes of a brutal world, the first seeds of human society were sown. This is not just a story of survival. It is the story of how we became human.